Okay, welcome back after Passover vacation. We got our chametz drink over here. L'chaim, l'chaim. So last class was a very, very strong class, because last time we spoke about it's not a question of how much you accomplish, it's how much you push yourself.
Yep.
Because let's say you have tremendous amount of capacity, and let's say you can learn 2 pages of Talmud, and you do it. And for me, learning 2 pages of Talmud is very hard. So maybe I'll go, Eric, you should learn a little bit more. He's like, well, you coming to me 2 pages? This guy can only get through a side. Go bust his chops. I'm doing 2 whole pages. So it's not only if a person's sinning or not sinning, because obviously we're talking about it. The person doesn't sin, because you're a Vainani. How could you sin? Because we're talking about a person is an oived. An oived means a person serves God, serves actively. It means he's pushing himself. A tzaddik, a righteous person, doesn't serve God. He's not pushing himself, because pushing yourself means there's restraint. Tzaddik doesn't have restraint. Tzaddik is always inventing new ways to appreciate godliness. I'm not detracting from a God, but we can't even understand. But a tzaddik is called an eved. He's already reached there. He's a servant. He's ready to reach there. He's not serving. He's a servant. He's not in the process of becoming a servant. He's there.
Eved.
Eved. A Beinani is an oived. Oived means he's working, actively working. But Zeh Yuva on page 221 in the old. So tonight we're gonna finish off chapter 15, and we'll jump into 16 as well. 221 in the old print, in the new print, Mr.
227.
227. Just like the old show.
Yes.
Yeah. So, the reference fly over yet? Yeah. Yeah.
We don't listen to people.
No. I'm not sure. No, that reference flew over my head. Touche. We're 1 for 1.
Exactly.
1. Okay. V'zeh Yuva. Now we'll understand Masha Kasav the Gemara, what it says in the Gemara. The Oiv Elikim Hainu, and a servant of God, someone who's serving God, who serves God. Hainu, that is Misha Shena Pirkei Me'apamim ve'echad. Okay, so in the olden times, they didn't have books, so everything was taught orally. So the standard was you review everything 100 times. In our brain, we always know we have a book to go back to, so we don't really commit it to memory. We try to commit the reference, but we don't really commit to memory. In the olden days, they didn't have references. In the olden days, everything was oral. So the standard was you learn everything 100 times. Who is somebody who serves God? Someone who learns something, says 100 times. Really? 101 times, sorry. So the regular guy is 100. 101, really the one time, that the one time is so big.
Puts him over the top.
Right. Well, you got you got Mr. 1 up. How much time do you learn it? 100. 101, right? Right. How much money do you give? 100. I give 101. Really? Right? And the one who doesn't serve him, and the one who didn't serve him, that's who we only reviews it 100 times. Why? It says mishum, because in those days it should be mayim. In those days, hayu hergilos, and that is the key word here. Hergilos, it was customary. It was common practice. It was normal. That means they were used to it. L'shana is to learn, to review kol perek me'apamim 100 times. It's not just that. So let's say, for example, you're used to doing 20 pull-ups. And he said, today, come back and tell you, today I did 21. Really? He came back with news that he did 1 more pull-up? Yeah, but I'm used to doing 20. So the 21st is very hard.
5%.
Right, what I'm saying. Right? But saying, when you're used to learning 100 and you push yourself to do 1 more, that 1 more counts for a lot. Kidisa Hassam Gemara, like the Gemara illustrates, gives an example, an analogy, B'shuk Shachamer, the market of donkey drivers. You go there, so they had standard pricing. Sheniskarim le'eser parsa, so to go 10 parsa is a distance, To go, the Persian mile was bezuzah, with one zuz. It just came from Pesach, so you'll recognize the word zuz.
Zuzeh.
What?
Yeah, betray Zuzeh.
Exactly. That was the currency. Well, the achad asar parse, but to go 11 miles, that means one more than it was. It was normal. Was betrei zuzeh, was with two zuzim.
This is what language?
Aramaic.
Aramaic.
Yeah. B'pnei, why did they for one zuz you got 10 miles. To go 11 miles, you got to pay another whole zuz. So b'pnei, why? Shuyesem regilus. You know, like you pay for a suitcase, you get 50 pounds free. 53 pounds, $75. Like for $75, I might as well bring another 50 pounds.
Exactly.
Why? Because once you go more than normal, it's a b'nei shehu yosem regilasim, because it was more than normal. L'chein, therefore, zayis hapam, this time, this one, hamei v'achas, this 101st time, yisayda shel regilos, it's more than his custom, normal practice. Shehurgul menu'urav, that he became accustomed since his childhood. Shekulik and kulam, so this one time he pushed himself has the equivalency of all the 100 before. It's because you gotta push yourself. For oila al gabeyan, and in fact its quality is even more. But yeser seis yeser az, with even greater strength and power. Because now, when you're pushing yourself, when you don't want to go to shul, when you're not in the mood, and you do it anyway, then you're a servant of God. Why? Because you've already accustomed yourself. Let's say you have a guy who's born and bred in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg, Crown Heights. Doesn't really have access. I mean, I have access to McDonald's or to Red Lobster or to Arby's or to whatever, or fill in the not kosher food. Right? Fill in whatever it is, right? Imagine going to this guy. Look at this guy. Look at this tzaddik. He doesn't eat McDonald's. He never ate McDonald's. He doesn't have the push to eat McDonald's. That's not. I mean, does he get credit? Yeah, I guess he gets some credit, but that's not a big deal. It's the guy who grew up, in Illinois somewhere, right, surrounded by Waffle House and IHOP, and then hears he went to Chabad class and he hears about kosher and he says, although I have all this stuff available and it's good because I've been every Sunday my family would go to IHOP together and everything else. And no, I'm not doing it.
Not anymore.
Why? What do they do wrong?
IHOP's going bankrupt.
Oh yeah, they?
Yeah, they're the next brand. Applebee's too. They're all going the way of the dinosaurs.
Okay.
What restaurants are closing down?
Original pancake house.
Old style, old like brands and stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Because
They're either not adapting to new times, new trends.
what do you mean? People don't like pancakes?
Cost of food, I don't know. Why?
Pancakes are pancakes.
Quality?
And then
Insert the blame. Why do brands fail? Why?
This is interesting because it also connects to the
Consistency?
way we do
Product?
our tikkunim, right?
I don't
If
know.
we
I
know
lack
if
of
it,
consistency in the
it still
product.
affects us.
The poor consistency.
What do you mean?
How we react to something.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Based on us. Yeah. If it's harder for us, then we have to push more.
Like
If
leadership
you
isn't
grew up
adding
living
history with Boeing.
on the beach in Tel Aviv,
Nobody
Yeah.
answers
and you
faithfully,
keep looking in different
they'll blame,
places.
obviously.
Yeah. It's,
and now when something walks by you and you don't even pay attention to it
that's
at all,
That's
that's
all.
your signal knowing that
Yeah. That's
you
That's
get cleared from that yetzer.
yeah. But there's always something. That's the bad news. There's always something else.
There's always something.
Yeah, there was something before. The Beinoni always has the Yitzhar. So it's when you're set in your ways. Set in your ways doesn't mean, I don't mean it in a bad way. When you know it's comfortable for you, and you know it's easy, right? You got up, right? And so let's give an example. The rabbi has a meeting with you and says, last year you donated to the synagogue $1,800. And in your mind, you're comfortable with that number. So this year, I want you to do $2,400. You think, wow, $2,400. I'm not used to that number. Let's do 18. Right? Because you're comfortable with that. You're not a servant of God because that's it. You're ready. It's idea of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. That's where it really becomes special. A servant of God is, you really push yourself. Why? Because in the middle of 222, in order to change his habit, his habitual nature, what do you got to do? You have to arouse and wake up that love of Hashem. Because what's stopping you from sleeping in bed, not coming to shul? Not your body. Your body wants to sleep. Why are you waking up? Because of your soul. So you're waking up your soul. By thinking of the greatness of God, that I have the opportunity either to serve God, to do something for God, or not to sleep in bed or eat chocolate cake. So lishloit, because now you're going to show that you are the ruler. Your temptation and your nature doesn't control you. You control it. Lishloit ala teva, to rule over the nature, which is in the left heart, left side of your heart. Hamoli dama nefesh, that is full of blood. Hamas, the animal, natural self, shemaklipa, and that is teva. That's what we call nature. Nature is, this is the way I am. Is that an answer? That's the way I am. What do you want from me? Not an answer. I mean, take modern times, right? Without getting too political, and without giving particular examples, but in today's society, people are encouraged, this is the way you are, then feel free to act that way.
Yeah.
That's not the Torah's view. The Torah's view is, the Torah's not denying that you have a tendency or an impulse towards a certain behavior. The Torah is saying is, we acknowledge that you have a tendency towards a certain inclination towards certain behavior, but the Torah is saying it's immoral. So I like nice things, and I can afford it. Some people are kleptomaniacs. They can't control themselves. Right? They like to steal. They like the high of stealing. I remember there were some stories of actors who were caught shoplifting, and you're thinking,
Were you in San Francisco?
how's it
He
going?
said caught.
Right. If it's physical, let
They
me give
just
you.
walk right
Let me
out.
give you a bag. Right?
Just give it away.
Paper bag. God forbid, not plastic, right?
Save the turtles.
Yeah, but so you have these actors who can probably buy the store, and they're shoplifting. Why are they shoplifting? Because they can't control themselves. Imagine they came out and said, "Listen, I can't. This is the way I am. But the Torah doesn't say, oh no, you can't have a impulse to steal because we said it's wrong. That probably is one of the biggest problems, the biggest misunderstandings that people have of the Torah. People think if the Torah says don't do something, it means you don't have the capacity or the will or the desire. If it's in there, it's because it's a problem. Maybe not today, maybe it was, but many things in the Torah they go in a style, out of style. Now, that's why some people think, oh, we don't need the Torah anymore, we figured it out. But then, different tendencies, human desires, different things, throughout the millennia, it changes. So the Torah says it be a certain way, but it goes against my nature. Okay. Now you know you have the schwitz. You have the ability to overcome it. We all have the natural raw talent to overcome any temptation. We don't want to believe it. And we don't want to accept it because it's much easier to tell ourselves that I like being a glutton or smoking is my thing. What do you want from me? Like I like drinking. Like I don't have drinking problems. Right? I have a problem. I drink. Right? Right. So we all like to think that I enjoy it. It's. But one of the bedrocks of Jewish philosophy is that there's no such thing as you have a challenge that you can't overcome. It doesn't make a difference what that natural tendency is. I can't control myself as that an excuse. But this is the way I am. Take me for who I am. Yeah, we accept you and we love you, and we understand. But there's a difference between accepting you and not saying, listen, we shun you to eternal damnation. So no, we expect you to be better. So that's what it means to be an ovid. You arouse that godly, divine part of you, that better part of you, to push back against that animalistic part of you. V'zu hi avoda, tamal beinani. And this is the perfect service of a beinani. Because remember, we said in other chapters that beinani is somebody who probably will never get rid of his evil inclination and spend his entire day fighting back. Either to arouse a love of God because of his understanding of God, or just because you're a Jew. And a Jew naturally has a love of God. L'mashal, to rule Ayoda through the natural love of Teva. You love yourself. You don't get an award for not cutting yourself today, not stabbing yourself, because you love yourself. So the same thing is, eating not kosher is the equivalent of taking a knife, and you wouldn't do it. So why do we sin? Because.
But if your life's in, what if you're in a situation
But then it's a mitzvah to eat it.
Oh, okay.
Then it's a mitzvah to eat it. You should know. Now we're learning in daily Rambam the laws of Shabbos. And the Rambam says that if someone's life is in danger, whoever delays, it's called a murder. And if a rabbi or a scholar think, I'm not going to violate Shabbos, because let a common man violate Shabbos. I'm the big rabbi. He says he's a shaita. All these different types of names. Because then the mitzvah is the same God who's telling you not to eat it, telling you now you have to eat it.
In what situation again?
If koach nefesh, sakanat nefashot.
I heard the story of Rabbi Valis. He created the Arachim seminar in Israel.
Okay.
Huge.
All right.
Bringing a lot of people learning about Torah, about Judaism. Incredible. His grandfather, or maybe great-grandfather, but I think it's his grandfather, on the last day of the Shoah, of the Holocaust, it was already known that they're going to be released. And
Yeah.
he tells the story that the SS officer there tells them, okay, tomorrow you are going to be free, but now you need to eat this. And he puts in front of his face something that he can't eat, maybe
Right.
pork or something like that. But if you're not going to eat it, I'm going to shoot you in the head. And he doesn't eat it. And he kills
Really?
on the last day of the show.
Wow, I never heard the story. You made me think of a different story, which was the guy came over to a rabbi in the camp and said, the soup was made with not kosher meat, horse meat, whatever it was. So he asked the rabbi, what should we do? So he said, the soup you have to eat. You have to, life or death, but don't suck the bones. You know, by the way, if you want to read a book that'll tear your heart out, I mean, just to read it is so heavy. Every page is. There was a rabbi. He was in the camps, and in the I think the Warsaw Ghetto also, in the camp, and people asked him these halacha questions. I mean, and you read the question. It's called B'Kadosh Yisrael. Actually, I have an English translation in my. I started reading it, but the questions this rabbi gets is like how do you answer such questions?
So based on Rambam, he would say that this guy, the story that I told, he should eat?
No, I tell you why. Because in halacha, if a guy is trying to make an example, make a chil Hashem, desecrate God's name, for Hesed in public, it doesn't make a difference what it is. It could be a shoelace. You give up your life. It's not so much what you're doing as much as the setting.
Yeah.
So
Kiddush Hashem would be bigger than
yeah,
Chilul Hashem.
because the whole reason why you're dying for it is Kiddush Hashem, right? The whole discussion, if a guy comes over to a Jew and asks and forces him to bow down to the idol in privacy of his house, or kill him, should the Jew bow down?
That's the only way to save your life.
No, but idolatry is one of the big three. There's three things where we give up our life for: murder. Someone says, "Murder, kill this guy, or I kill you." Illicit relationships.
What does that mean now?
Means lie with your mother, your sister, all the ones we actually read in last week's Torah portion. Immoral relationships and idolatry. Those are called the big three. The big three, those are called die rather than transgress. But again,
Idolatry is something, if you're not real, I mean.
it doesn't make a difference if you're religious or not.
That
God,
could
there's only
be-
one God, and whether you believe in Him or not,
Yeah.
He's still the one God. And a Jew can't. What's the point of life? God is giving you life. For a person to say that he doesn't believe in God, he's cutting off that relationship. And many Jews have gone to the end. So we're not gonna. What's life worth if you cut off? If a person denies the source of life, what are you living for? The Jews have give up their life for a lot less. It's a famous story of the Romans. The whole shipload of women, they're going to be sold into a house of.
It's all symbolism. I mean, you have to conclude that. I mean, it's simple, you know.
Listen, let me tell you something. We should never ever know, never ever be faced with the situations these people faced with. I mean, you read stories of the Jews in the Middle Ages. You have no idea how when they came, when the fanatical religious Christians came to kill the Jews unless they converted. You know how even sometimes the local authorities try to protect them, but you couldn't protect them against the mob. The Jews, they all committed mass suicide, rather than convert. Talking about parents killing their kids, I'm telling you, it's crazy. I mean, you read these stories, it boggles the mind to be faced with such a situation. We can read it on paper, but it's yeah. I tell you, the more you learn Jewish history, the more you're shocked that we're sitting here.
For sure. One big miracle.
Yeah, the problem is when over 3,500 years, there was Pesach. You read through these events like, no, these events were all
Shaping.
No, I'm saying, but each event was a massive event, and some events, there's so many massive events that eventually would be massive in any other context. Don't even make it, or they're a side note almost.
And we're now also in one.
Yeah, same, but yeah.
We don't even know the size of.
Yeah, I'm saying obviously, but saying because right now we're in the middle. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about the decrees of we learned in the Pasha class. We mentioned the Shach. Shach lived in the 1500s. I mean, those times living in Russia, it's.
Well, this other rat, I mean, he wasn't a Chabad. I mean, my brother used to talk to him. I don't know, he was some other group, but anyway, he said Cubans, a lot of them that came from Cuba were forced to convert.
Yeah.
And he said a lot of the people that are converting are, the
Could be.
descendants of
Yeah,
those that
could it be?
were
Yeah,
forced to
yeah,
convert.
yeah. There's a lot of confusion, or I don't know, call it confusion, but
I know someone recently who found out, who's an older gentleman in like his 70s, that found out Puerto Rican from New York, moved to Central Florida, who found out through his family lineage that they used to be Jews before the Inquisition. They changed over.
Yeah,
They converted.
yeah, but he has to reconvert.
He's not,
No, I'm saying because we had
of
someone.
course. No,
No, we
but
had
it's just
somebody-
Interesting.
yeah,
to
yeah,
know how many
we-
souls had been lost and how rare, the.
Real not like Sammy
So-
Davis Jr.
No, I'm saying so. Yes, I'm saying so. We had a guy who used to live here. He moved to Israel, but he was from Puerto Rico, and he was, and not only that, his family still had like Jewish customs, like solely Jewish customs. Only Jews do, but he had to reconvert because we don't know that everybody married Jews all the way down the line. So it's called conversion from. In modern history, we have the whole thing with the Ethiopian Jews. Also similar. They have Jewish customs which only Jews have, but the problem is, you've been out of the picture for hundreds, thousands of years,
And plus, you have
and we don't know everybody married Jews.
Yeah.
So I'm saying so it's I
But
mean
you have a whole culture in Ethiopia that used to worship, even in the times of Solomon, it's dated. There's books of
no one.
queens from the south going to visit King Solomon and stuff.
Well, yeah, that.
So Ethiopian lineage to Judaism is very definitive. Maybe after a certain point. I mean,
yeah,
they didn't keep journals as well
But-
as
but
the
that's-
Ashkenazis did.
but
But,
no, but-
the
but
Jews were
Sfar-
scattered into all over the
But
world.
the Sephardim have journals. It's called Ksuba. What do you mean? It's been passed down from generation to generation.
Exuber?
Ketubah.
Ketubah.
That's how you know. By the way, the idea of proving your Judaism is not a new idea.
Of course not.
I think even in the Torah, in the Bible, when the Jews were counted, they had to prove they were Jewish. You can just walk in and say you're Jewish.
But wait, so for example, when we left Egypt, there were 600,000
Men.
men
Between 20 and 60.
between
20 and 60.
ages
Yeah.
20 and 60.
Yeah, there were more males.
Yes.
600,000 number is between 20 and 60 years old.
Yes, males.
Yeah.
Okay, but out of them, there were also Erev Rav, no?
Not including the Erev Rav or died before they were counted.
They what? They died before.
Yeah, they were.
They died before we got to.
They counted. Yeah, we weren't counted before the Torah. We were counted afterwards. Yeah. So we're counted after the sin of the golden calf the first time. The Erev Rav was dead already.
Wow.
Actually, maybe not. No, it's not true. It's not true. No, some of them survived. Anyway,
Because I hear about some people say that even in today's Israel, for example, there is leftovers of the Erev Rav.
but people say things.
Maybe it's political to say that, but
It is political. We don't even know who's Egyptian and everything else. That's why a person comes from Egypt, they can convert. It says in the Torah that an Egyptian can't convert until 3 generations that we. But what do you? People making stupid statements.
Okay.
No, not stupid statements. Could it be? Yeah, but the Jewish people have been kicked around like a soccer ball for 2,500 years. By the way, forget the destruction of the second temple. Even look at the history of the first temple. Jewish people were exiled 150 years before the first temple was destroyed. The 10 tribes were exiled. How do you know? What do you know? What do you?
Yeah.
The problem is when people come up with these definitive statements. What are you saying? You don't know. You don't know.
Yeah.
Could it be? Yeah. Well, you think just because a Jew is a bad sinner, says terrible things, Erev Rav? No, it could be the bad Jew. Yeah, we have those. Unfortunately, we have. Listen, in the end of the book of Kings, King Menashe, right? King Menashe and his brother Rav Kashash, whatever the thing's name is, they were sons of a man that almost was Mashiach. He was that righteous, and his sons were as righteous as he was, and they weren't Erev Rav. Okay, they were son. Their mother was.
They were the one that slept with laid with the mother or something like that.
No.
Okay.
Was it? No, I think it's someone else. That's someone else. Menashe almost uprooted Judaism, almost eradicated Judaism. You understand? They went from one extreme, and he came. His grandfather was a prophet, his mother was a kohen, his father was king. But many times we try to make the bad people the other.
Yeah. Gotta remove those titles.
And the other is not the person. The other is the forward influence. Like we learned in chapter 7, 8 of Tanya. A Jew's natural tendency is he wants to do Judaism. It's the foreign influence. It's not the person. We hate the action. We don't hate the person. It's very easy to turn, oh, he's this, so that therefore. Unfortunately, you have Jews who do very stupid things and say very stupid things. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you see now in the modern day climate, you have Jews who are actively advocating for
their own destruction,
for the destruction of their own brethren. Yeah, I mean, obviously they're sick in the head because they think that there's safety in modern society.
is it that, or is it they're so disconnected because they?
Soros.
Yeah. Yeah, but
is it because they're disconnected from their heritage? Maybe because
Yeah.
of the communities they lived in,
Yeah.
being liberal, and they didn't have conversations that actually pertain to Torah, including
Yeah.
like if you went to a Reform temple, it's like not fairy tales,
Yeah,
like
Reform.
stories you tell a child. Like
Yeah.
it's not Torah. Like, and this
yeah.
is.
You remind me of a famous story. Rabbi Manis Friedman was giving a talk to college students, and finally a kid gets up. Not finally, afterward, the kid question answer period. A kid gets up and says, "Rabbi, can I ask you a simple question?" Says, "Do you believe in God, and do you believe the Jewish people are chosen people?" So he says, "Yeah." The kid says, "Finally!" So afterwards, he said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "I went to a Reform temple, And I asked the rabbi, "You believe in God? Well, what does God mean? What does chosen mean? What does the Torah mean?" The guy, the old rabbi is ecking and becking and stuttering and stammering about what it is. So that's part
And
of it.
also the same idea you're saying that it's been a constant for Jews to prove they're Jews throughout.
No,
the-
that's been, I don't we don't constantly prove.
That's
But I
not
mean,
constant, but
meaning
it's
if you
a
walk
thing
in,
to prove, it's the same thing that there's always been Jews defining what Judaism is.
no. Now you're mixing two things. When I said you have to prove, it means if you walk into a Jewish community. Let's say, for example, now we live in a very small world, okay? But let's say go back.
No, someone walks in here.
Okay, but we have a very easy way. Right? Someone comes 150 years ago, pulls in to Vilna,
Yeah.
right?
Some Yisro.
Whatever. I'm Jewish.
Take me.
Oh yeah, yeah. Speak Jewish. I mean, not only speak Yiddish, but how do you wash your hands?
It's also in a time where you knew everybody, so like,
No, but let's say a guy walks in. I mean, but it's not as hard as you think. See, now now there's a lot of unaffiliated and assimilated Jews. But
well, again, because the idea of Judaism has been so diluted to a lot of people
saying,
that
but-
don't get
but-
such a rich education
right,
as yourself.
I'm saying,
in the
but even
lovely
so-
Crown Heights section of Brooklyn.
exactly. But I'm saying is, so now a person could be Jewish and not know about Judaism. You go back 150, 200 years ago.
And
If you're Jewish, you know how to speak Jewish.
Well, 250 years ago, you weren't a citizen of another nation. You were part of the shtetl.
Exactly.
You were part of the
So-
Jewish
so-
community. You weren't assimilated into the
they
normal community.
didn't let you. And even
Yeah.
if you weren't religious, the people weren't religious were raised religious,
Part of
and
the
then
community,
and later I'm saying it's not that hard. In the olden times, it wasn't as hard as you think it is. Now it's a lot harder. Now it's a lot harder because people didn't get the comfort of. The problem is that, like I said, Judaism demands, because they got to tie it back into the class. Judaism demands. We'll end off. I guess we're not starting chapter 16 today. Judaism demands that you push yourself, and people don't like that. I don't like it. I like sleeping in on Sunday. I have people tell me, right, for Sunday morning minyan. I'm not judging people. What am I saying? I'd say Sunday I want to sleep in. Listen,
Sure.
I understand that. But what the Torah is asking you, what God is asking you is, I understand you want to sleep in. Judaism is not a religion of comfort. There are times where it's Shabbos meal, and there are times where you got to push yourself.
It's a full-time
Isn't
job.
that just recognizing that there's an animal soul in you that wants
Yeah.
you to lay in bed all day?
Yeah.
But you're talking about
Yes.
just overcoming that.
Yeah,
You have
That's
exactly.
part of
power
the-
to do
that's
that.
part
Exactly.
of what he was saying about like recognize. It's okay to recognize who you are.
Yeah, and
But from there you gotta move.
but the moment we make Judaism, or really any culture, right, or let's say American patriotism, right, into what makes you feel comfortable, no, it's not. No, America had to make hard choices, and sometimes you got to go to war, and sometimes you got to do ugly things, and sometimes you got to do uncomfortable things. Yeah, and sometimes make mistakes. Yes. Being a Jew doesn't only, when Judaism becomes challah, bagels, or feel good events and tikkun olam, whatever the hell that means, that's not Judaism. Is it gefilte fish and bagels in Judaism? Yeah. But that's not, Judaism means you're pushing yourself to improve every day. Now, improvement is not defined by you. That's another mistake society makes.
Yeah, I want to be a good man.
But and who gets to decide that?
What is a good man?
Me.
Yeah.
So if I wake up and I feel like I'm good, then it doesn't work that way. That's chaos. That's what we have. That's the problem we have in modern society, world society. That's why there's chaos, because there is no definition, clear-cut definition for what's right, for what's wrong, what's good, and what's bad. Is stealing bad? Well, if
If it's under 950, it's not.
yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Or I say, but exactly.
Still wrong.
I'm saying, but I mean, if a guy needs it and he steals, did he do something wrong? The answer is yeah.
Yeah.
The answer, no, there is no.
Yeah, no.
The answer is yeah. He did something wrong. Now, the question is how you want to punish him, enforce the law, but the answer is wrong. Right. So that's the idea of the Torah is these are the parameters for what's good and what's bad, what's right and wrong. And we always have to try to push ourselves to, now, it might be hard, so you have to remember that the all-seeing eye, the back of the dollar bill, right? You look at the back of a dollar bill,
Yep, top of the pyramid.
top of the pyramid, the all-seeing eye, the triangle, right?
I only have $2 bills.
You never looked at the back of a dollar bill?
He's a lucky guy.
All-
Tell, like your kids, you say, I mean, I was raised differently till, just trust me, just do what you're, and eventually you'll realize.
No,
I
they
was
no, they
right.
learn. So my
but
kids,
look.
my kids are learning, and they don't know everything.
No.
But I'm not going to let them. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel here. We've been around. Judaism been around for 3,500
Yeah.
years. We know exactly what's right and wrong. You don't understand it yet? Okay, I don't care. You do it anyway. And some things you understand now, and some things you don't understand yet. Okay.
Yeah,
but
if you tried to tell the same thing, my son, whatever,
Right.
that's not really,
Yeah,
it's
okay,
a-
okay, but
it's
see,
a lot
right.
different. It's
Well,
a
yeah,
lot harder to.
It is a lot harder because you have to raise our kids that the standard for this is not a religious thing. We have to raise our kid that the standard for good and bad is the standard. That doesn't change. It doesn't change if you feel like it, you don't feel like it. This is the standard, and every day you got to push yourself to be better. It makes me feel too bad. Too bad. You don't understand it? Too bad. Let's finish. Let's finish off because we really went off track there. So nikra gam ken avoda. This is called avoda when you can arouse your natural. Every person is naturally good. It's another thing Judaism says. Other religions, society, they look at a person as every person's a predator, every person's bad, every person's a sinner. Like I always make fun of my wife, right? Everyone's a sexual predator, right? Maybe from South America, she suspects everybody, right?
It's not far off.
So says, but every Jew is naturally good, and our job is to try to. This is what the Chassidus teaches. We're not trying to invent and superimpose anything upon you. Every Jew is a naturally good Jew. What we're trying is to wake it up. We're trying to inspire it, to make that spark of fire. To fight, to wage war with his nature and his inclination by arousing the natural good that's inside of you. So then you can fight. So you go to a kid and you say, listen, you don't do this. Why? I'll patch you, or I'll take away your phone, or I will, or I'll ground you. No TV or whatever it is, right? Blah 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 blah. It might work for a while, but the kid's going to be resentful finally when he says it's a power thing. But you go to a kid and you say, "You're better than this. This isn't you. Why would you do that? You should be disappointed in. Forget what I feel about you. You should be disappointed in you because you're better than this." Then you're giving the kid worth. A Jew has to realize that his natural goodness, and we have to awaken that, and then he doesn't want to disappoint himself. That's how you fight. When there's no fight, when there's no war, when you're just going through everything by rote, you're just going through everything, by nature. And a lot of people are like that. This is what I'm happy with. And sometimes I have this discussion before Passover with a guy. Judaism is what makes me feel comfortable. I was having a discussion with him because he was telling me his son got married. And because his family is big and her family is big, so the first Seder separately. I said, the first Passover Seder as a married couple can do separately? Rabbi, this is my Judaism. Whatever I think is right, I wasn't going to fight with him. But, outside the guy's house. That's not what it is. Judaism means you fight. It's not called a fight. And our job is to push yourself. You got to push every day. We're going to do Shema soon. It's already 9:30 something. Mm-hmm. Just look back at today. He says, how was I better today than it was? Are you on cruise? Are you Sunday driving? Or now you know why I drive that way. The way I do.
It's not cruising. It's speeding.